Good morning. Today we will continue with our chapter number 6, World after 1945. In last video we had discussed about the aims of United Nations, Charter of United Nations, about the main causes of Cold War and some consequences of the Cold War, and also about NATO, CETO, and Warsaw Treaty. Today we will discuss more about NATO, CETO, and Warsaw Treaty. Now, what is NATO? The full form of NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was formed to check the spread of communism and Soviet expansionism. NATO was formed in April 1949 under the leadership of the USA. The Western capitalist democratic states were its members. Now let's discuss about CETO. The full form or the full name of CETO is Southeastern Asiatic Treaty Organization. After the Communist Party came to power in China, there was a perceived threat of communist expansionism in the Southeast Asia. And to counter this threat, to Southeast Asia Treaty Organization was formed in 1954. Not 1954, in 1945. CETO was a military alliance formed with an initiative taken by the USA and England. Now, let's discuss about Warsaw Treaty. With a view to counter the dominance of the USA after the formation of the NATO and the CETO, the USSR and the socialist states in the Europe entered into Warsaw Treaty in 1954. This alliance was made or was headed by the USSR, Albania, Bulgaria, Romania, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Poland, and East Germany were the members of the Warsaw Treaty. Now, let's discuss about CENTO. So, CENTO means Central Asia Treaty Organization, and it was established in the Middle Eastern countries under the leadership and the inspiration of England. Various Arab countries joined the CENTO. Now, let's discuss about armament, disarmament, nuclear weapon creation, and its application. First, we discuss about armament. Now, the USA was the only nuclear power at the end of the World War II. Here, USSR also successfully carried out the test of the hydrogen bomb in 1949. Soon thereafter, the UK, means England, France, China, acquired nuclear capability. In the wake of Cold War, the race for nuclear weapons and missiles intensified. The war was on the brink of nuclear war during the Cuban crisis in 1961. The other nations too were in the process of acquiring nuclear capability. Apart from the nuclear weapons, the superpowers have developed chemical and biological weapons of mass destruction. Now, let's discuss about disarmament. When it was realized that the proliferation of nuclear armaments was a threat to world peace, means because of these nuclear armaments, the world peace was in danger, and because of these nuclear arms, there is a lots of destruction in the future, and the people have to suffer a lot. So, after the Cuban crisis, the USA and the USSR felt the need to put restriction on the race for nuclear armaments. They agreed on putting restrictions on the production and testing of nuclear armaments. The USA, the USSR, and the Britain signed partial nuclear test ban treaty in 1963. France and China refused to sign this treaty. At the initiative taken by the UN, the nuclear test ban treaty was prepared in 1967. Although India welcomed this step, it had refused to sign the treaty as it was discriminatory in nature. Till such time total nuclear disarmament takes place, the threat of the use of nuclear weapons will still continue. Now, let's discuss about the Cuban crisis. Now, what is Cuban crisis? Cuba, which is situated on the southwest of the USA and is a communist country. The Cold War between the USA and the USSR was at its peak in the 1960s. So, under the pretext of the defense of Cuba, the USSR has dispatched a ship carrying nuclear missiles to Cuba in 1961. The USA responded with a blockade of Cuba and threatened the USSR with retaliatory action. Means they attacked on the USSR army. The world was on the brink of nuclear war between the two superpowers. After a lot of heated verbal exchanges, the USSR agreed to call back her ship. It was realized by the two superpowers that any misunderstanding could lead or disastrous consequences, and decided to install a hotline between the heads of two countries. Now let's discuss about nuclear weapons and missiles. The destructive and potential of nuclear weapons was revealed by the enormous destruction caused by the atom bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The USSR, the UK, France, and China too acquired nuclear capabilities by 1965. Missiles were developed to carry nuclear warheads. They have developed short range, medium range, long range, and intercontinental ballistic missiles. India, Pakistan, Israel, South Africa too have acquired nuclear capabilities. The terrorist organizations are trying to acquire nuclear weapons, and if they succeed to get or to acquire nuclear weapons, world peace and security will be destroyed. Now let's discuss about rise of independent nations in Asia. India achieved independence in 1947 after a long struggle with the Britishers. And owing the Britain's policy to divide and rule and certain other leaders, the country is divided into two countries, and that was India, and that is India and Pakistan. In the same way, some other nations were also got independence, or they had struggle related their independence against the Britishers, like Sri Lanka and Myanmar. They got their independence in 1948. In the case of Indonesia, United Nations played an important role to free the Indonesia from the Britishers. Asian countries like Laos, Cambodia and Vietnam too got independence. In the same way as the Asian countries got independence from the Britishers, here in Africa too, after the Second World War, some countries like Abyssinia, means now Ethiopia, South Africa, Egypt were independent. Some other countries of African continent also got independent, and it resulted in that during the tenure of 16 years, means from 1951 to 1966, 40 small and large countries became free, and imperialist countries tried to have supremacy over these countries, but these countries either joined the superpowers or the military resources and got their freedom. Now let's discuss about non-allied movements. Now, what is non-allied movements? Non-allied movements. So Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was a statesman and visionary who believed in non-alignment as the solution to the problems created by the superpower or by the power struggle between the USA and the USSR. Here, Nehru advocated and practiced the policy of non-alignment to protect India's national interest and further the cause of world peace. Mostly newly independent countries of Asia and Africa endorsed Nehru's views as Bandung Conference in 1955. The initiative taken by Nehru was responded by the Marshal Tito of Yugoslavia, President Nasir of Egypt, and President Sukarno of Indonesia. And this led to the emergence of Non-Allied Nations Movement, means NAM, at Belgrade in 1961. More than 100 countries across the world joined NAM, and the NAM played meaningful role in the international policies in the era of Cold War. If we discuss about if we discuss about the views of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on the policy of non-alignment movement, so as we all know that Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was the first Prime Minister of independent India and architect of Indian foreign policy of non-alignment. Yet Nehru believed that newly independent countries like India did not have a luxury to spend funds on armaments. It was in the national interest of India to focus on development, and development requires world peace and international cooperation. India could contribute to world peace by not aligning with their power blocs or military alliances. The presence of non-aligned nations will reduce international tension. So here we discuss till here today. We will discuss more about this chapter in our next video. Till then, thank you. Have a nice day.